What's going on, internet, Z followers, Nissan community, Infinity alike? Tony with Fast Intentions. We are back with another video. Always excited to showcase our customers' cars. This car actually has a ton of history. I'm standing under 076 or number 76, commonly known as in our twin turbo lineage, from 0 all the way up to now at 118. So we've sold this turbo kit to a customer in Texas many years back. They had a shop contracted to do the work, install, built motor, upgraded everything. They essentially moved on over a couple years of enjoyment and ironically sold it to a secondary customer in Arizona. Long story short on that, that customer had a V2 Nismo, and back in 2015, we turbocharged his first vehicle. So to catch you up on the real quick synopsis of it, this turbo kit was sold to Texas, customer enjoyed it, moved on, sold the car to a customer in Arizona. That specific customer had previously owned one of our turbo kits. I don't specifically know which number it was. He had moved on, was so happy, excited to get back into this. So enough of the boring backstory, but I get excited about that kind of stuff because it's about building relationships. Let me show you what we're working with here. So we're underneath it, obviously. This car was brought to us from Sebastian at Specialty Z. Car was shipped to him for some upgrades. What we're specifically shooting for is somewhere between 900 and 1,000 wheel. It has a MazWorks upgraded engine. It has our full 3-inch exhaust, downpipe, internally dumped wastegate tubes, 3-inch carbon fiber mufflers, full 3-inch stainless steel tubing all the way back, non-resonated X-pipe. We're gonna dive into the upgrades that we've done, the modifications to get our exhaust systems fit cleanly without having to make any modifications to it. So without further ado, let me share what we're working with. Obviously, you see these carbon fiber mufflers. Now, the beautiful thing about our 3-inch exhaust is everything is tucked really high. We offered this system several years later down the road after the 2.5. It was all trial and error, right? So we learned as we progressed, create a little bit more ground clearance. Even though we're working with larger tubing diameter, we're actually able to increase the ground clearance, believe it or not, in our 3-inch versus our 2.5. That said, dual 3-inch, right? I mean, without even going out on a limb, I can confidently say easily can support 1,200 horsepower in excess of it. Maybe even 1,500. No one's obviously done it with one of these setups, so I can't really attest to the fact that it's been done, but we know how efficient our setups are all the way to 2.5. We made 800 horsepower relatively efficiently, so minimal boost to do it, less engine heat, obviously. So dual 3-inch is a ton of exhaust volume, keep that in mind. Bigger is better in this case, or as I always like to refer, big money pipes, here they are. So dual 3-inch, everything's tucked up nice and tidy, as you can tell. Now, Ryan brought this car in. He has an aftermarket differential cooler, he has an aftermarket differential cover, and he has obviously an aftermarket differential brace. All three of these things in conjunction together, they can't occupy the same space without modification as the large exhaust tubing, the 6-inch round carbon fiber canisters. So instead of hacking up the exhaust system and changing the trajectory of how everything fits, we wanted things to fit normal. We took it upon ourselves to do some minor modification. So what I did was, this differential cooler has this air ducting, this shroud, if you will, and it's a diverter to essentially trap the air as it's rushing underneath the vehicle and force feed it into the differential cooler. It's a pretty cool setup. It's got a pass-through in and a pass-through out, and obviously this sucks up the air. There is a fan on the back side. Kind of similar premise with the fin differential cover. The whole premise of these fins is as the air travels through, it essentially acts as a diverter or a catcher, if you will. It catches the air and it essentially is designed to cool the differential fluid. Differential brace is obviously designed to reinforce and strengthen the differential. We have a lot of added torque, we have a lot of added power. We're dealing with an IRS, independent rear suspension car, so we could potentially antiquate a lot of wheel hop into the equation. We've obviously upgraded the differential bushings. I don't specifically know what Ryan has in here, but I do know that they are upgraded. So all of these things working in conjunction together are really gonna help you put the torque and put the power to the ground. So moving forward, non-resonated X-pipe sits in its true form. We have a nice amount of clearance here in between that factory boomerang, as I've always called it. You know, connection points here leading into our lead pipes, flex joint standard. You know, we're dealing with dual 3-inch. So as we progress through, space constraint is definitely going to be, you know, something that's going to be talked about. But we've really found an effective way to get everything nice and tight to the floorboard. and essentially not rub on anything, not hit on any heat shields, or when the engine torques, driver's side comes up, passenger side goes down. So you always want to be mindful and aware of that and create more clearance on the driver's side, knowing which way the engine's going to torque. Downpipes are beautiful. We have extra wideband bung ports welded into both sides. This is our full 3-inch setup, 304 stainless steel. Comes down from the dual tile wastegates, recirculated back in with the bellow. And what we've done, we've always done this from day one with our twin turbo downpipes on the Z and the G, is as we are dumping back in, think of it as a freeway merging on-ramp, right? We want to merge as smooth as humanly possible. In the event of getting on the vehicle, on the freeway rather, we don't want to get into an accident, so you're not going to come on at 90 degrees because you're going to get T-boned. Think about that same theory for exhaust gas. If we were to essentially come down and just shoot straight into this tube here, what's going to happen is you're going to have turbulence if you're at some sort of 45, 60, or 90 degree angle. And as you can see, is a nice smooth merge transition back into the stream. Not only will that help in eliminating turbulence, it's also going to help in increasing exhaust velocity. So especially in the case of a turbocharged vehicle, the more efficient and faster we can get the exhaust from the backside of the cylinder heads out the back of the car, more torque and power we're going to make more efficiently. So turbos obviously are the Stage Seb. I'd like to talk to you for a second about those. Seb is in Sebastian. He helped revolutionize these. This was kind of a combination we did dating back to his own twin turbo 900 plus horsepower 370. And it's a hybrid in between our Stage 2 and our Stage 3. So our Stage 2 is a Zoner rotor 3076. And our Stage 3 is a Zoner rotor, all billet internals, of course, billet CHRA 3579. So what Sebastian said was, can we create a setup that is a little bit larger on the compressor side, the cold side, and a little bit smaller on the exhaust side, so we can keep that exhaust velocity up and we don't tank the low end torque, so to speak, or the mid-range power. We didn't want this to feel like a big single turbo car, like your old adage of your old Toyota Supras back in the day. And I know the development of turbochargers has come a long way. I know single turbocharger cars are much more effective in terms of bringing in boost and torque and power much sooner in that curve, rather than much later where it would look like essentially Mount Everest peak. We've come leaps and bounds. That said, twins are always going to be the way to go, in my opinion, when you have a V motor. I'm all about symmetry. I'm all about balance. I'm all about everything looking the same on both sides. Maybe it's just a little bit OCD the way I am, but I've just always felt from a performance, a functionality, and an aesthetic standpoint, it's always been the way to go. So I'm not a single turbo guy, just for the record. These are the 3576s, so they are larger on the compressor side. They are smaller on the exhaust side. They're actually equivalent to like our Stage 2. That's why they're a hybrid Stage 2.5. Tried and proven. We probably have about a half a dozen customers now that are running this setup. And 900 plus horsepower, easily achievable. We're gonna go for that 900 number. I think you can do it safely. We're obviously gonna go for 1,000 potentially if Sebastian feels everything is adequate. Inlet air temps, engine's holding up, obviously no knock, adequate fuel system. We're supplying adequate fuel pressure. We're obviously bringing phenomenal fuel to the equation, as close to E85 as humanly possible from a percentage standpoint. We are dealing with it out of a pump, and we do that out of a pump rather than out of a can, because out of a can is always going to be pure. You're kind of working a little bit with a skewed deck, so to speak, where if it's out of a pump, there's going to be a little bit more variable there. It's going to be a little bit more diluted, so to speak. And it's going to be a little bit more accurate to what the customer is going to have accessible to them when they're pulling it out of a pump in their specific region or city where they live. Versus out of a can, it's always going to be pure. And if we really are trying to push the limit and maximize ignition timing and getting that air fuel a little bit on the leaner side to really bump the power and the torque, if they can't replicate that, they're essentially now on the ragged edge, and we would never want to leave a car like that. So it's just a little bit of insight on that. So this is primarily the underside. I do specifically remember when we anodized these candy red for that specific customer out of Texas. That was an upgraded request. You can't really see most of the intercooler tubing. Most of it is hidden, as I will show when we show the top side of the car. But with that said, customer wanted to go a little bit above and beyond and all out. All in all, it's a beautiful setup. Let me show you the top side of the car now. Okay, so this is the Veris cooling bonnet too, as I think some people refer to it. I would refer to it as a Varus vented hood. Primary objective here is obviously to allow trapped heat that is generated from the turbochargers and all the added power and mods to essentially escape, get out of the engine compartment. Multitude of reasons. It's going to perform better from a cooling environment, performance environment, as well as obviously a safety environment. We want to keep those engine bay temps as cool as humanly possible, especially on the top side, and as we all know, heat travels up. So let's see what we're working with here. It's a beautiful piece, by the way. It fits relatively clean. We all know that aftermarket body parts are exceptionally hard, be retrofitted to fit the vehicle through a lot of modification between the hinge points and the lineups with the fenders, and then the lineups with the front bumper, as well as the cowl, all that stuff. So they did a solid job, the guys that installed this initially. So what we're working with under the hood, obviously the biggest things you're gonna see right off the bat are candy apple red anodized throttle body tubes. This is part of the intercooler package kit. Comes with every turbocharger, twin turbo kit that we sell. Now keep in mind, normally these are gonna come polished. This is obviously an upgraded request. I think that this specific customer did a phenomenal job from a tastefulness standpoint of little red accents here and things of such nature. I used to be a big chrome guy. That was in the early 2000s and late 90s. I like colors now, a lot of monochrome stuff, black things, and I know that's more trend these days. We have the Soho Motorsports intake manifold plenum. That is going to give you peace of mind and safety when you are pushing in excess of 19 PSI and above. You're rolling the dice, so to speak, if you stay with the plastic one. You're flirting with fire. It's seamed. The stock factory intake manifold is seamed, and it's essentially glued together. So over time, you have a ticking time bomb potentially on top of your engine, especially and mainly when you are upgrading anything larger than our stage 1 turbo kit. So that's just something to keep in mind. This is a really nice cast aluminum setup that the guys at Soho created. I know they've had a decent amount of success with it over the years. Definitely something to check out. This has dual catch cans. So this is obviously going to pull oil into there. It's an oil separator setup, so to speak. Some of these cars, they're set up a little bit looser than others in terms of piston rings, check valve system, the PCV system to be specific. We obviously had, in stock form, we have a check valve here, we have a check valve here. Those have been circumvented, they are essentially gone. So any type of blow-by, so to speak, to keep it out of, essentially getting in the exhaust stream or back to the engine, it goes in these, and these obviously have to be monitored and dumped every now and then, and just, at the customer's leisure. Running an upgraded fuel system, I don't specifically know which one he has. It's definitely aftermarket, has aftermarket rails. Sebastian did a lot of the upgrades and the work on it. He can dive into specifically what he's done. Overall, this was a phenomenal setup.
Closer.